It's Mr. G, and I'm going to teach you guys a lesson on translations, reflections, and rotations. And this is actually something that I am terrible at. I'll give you an example of this. When I worked at the Bessborough, I worked at this big fancy hotel, and we had to set up rooms and banquets and things like that. So one day we set up all the tables and chairs, and we had all the tables up here and all the rectangle tables down here and buffet tables over here. And then we found out that we set it up on the wrong side. And we were told you actually have to take that setup and rotate it to the other side of the room. So if you're wondering, like, why the heck would I need to rotate shapes and learn how to do this? This is an example of using that in real life. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And yeah, for whatever reason, this is something that I do struggle with, is rotating shapes in my mind. Maybe some of you guys, even when you're rotating your bedrooms and you've got an idea in your head, you're like, okay, my bed's like this, and now I want to rotate it like that. What is that going to look like? Where is my headboard here? And things like that. So it's kind of interesting and useful in real day life for kind of small little things like that. We're going to break these things down one at a time, and I'll go as quickly as I can, and hopefully I can explain it well. So the first one is a translation. So basically all you have to do is translate where you'd like the squares to go. So it's really essential that you have your shapes labeled. So I have A, B, and C upside down for your comfort, accidentally. So basically all you have to do is choose a pattern and stick to it. So let's just say your pattern, you want it to be 2 over and 2 up, okay? So if I decided to go 2 over and 2 up, we are going to transfer or translate this to another part of the page. So I said 2 over and 2 up. So I'm going to say 2 over to the right and 2 upwards. So all I would do is take point A, and I would say you are going 2 over, so 1, 2, and then 2 up. 1, 2. So guess where point A is going to be? You guessed it, right here. Okay, so that's where point A is going to be. So I'll do the same thing for point B. I say, B, you're going to go 2 over, 1, 2, and 2 up. 1, 2. So point B is going to be there. And point C, I do the exact same thing. Now the important thing is that I do it from point C. I don't start here. That's where a lot of people will make mistakes. So I start here and I go 2 over, 1, 2, 2 up, 1, 2. Now I did everything correct, and I have just successfully transferred my shape to another area. However, I do have to label it. So A is still here, B is still here, and C is still here. So I have just translated everything. So you could draw arrows as well to show where each part has translated, but I would just label it like so, and that will kind of work for that. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. I feel like that should. The next one's called reflection. And I always encourage people to use a mirror and reflect it. So you can actually take a mirror. So I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. So I'm going to use the same shape here, but I have an extra one that I made. It's the exact same, and you can trace it or whatever and do, it might help you guys. That's almost what I would recommend, just the way that my mind works is I like to trace things and then reflect them that way. So what I've done is I've traced it, but on the other side, I've also wrote A, B, and C exactly where A, B, and C are. So B is here, B is here, okay? Now, what you have to do is pick a spot to reflect your shape. So you can reflect it anywhere you want, but it has to reflect the exact dimensions of the other shape. So what I'm going to do is line my shape up here like this, and let's just say I chose my mirror to be right here. So if I chose my mirror to be in this spot right here, that means I'm 2 spots over to reflect it. So what happens when you reflect it, obviously things get flipped the other direction. So if I'm going to this spot here, then I'm going to go 2 over, and guess how many more spots I have to go over and start my reflection? 2 spots over. So all you got to do is count 2 spots over, count 2 spots over, and then flip it. And then you have successfully reflected your image. Okay, that's a little confusing, so I'm going to do it again. I'll do it a little slower. So I go here, it's 2 spots over. I go 1, 2. That's where the mirror hits. So I have to go 1, 2 spots again, and then pivot and reflect the points. Okay, so hopefully you guys kind of understand that, but as you can see, A here is now 2 spots away from there. B is 2 spots away from both of them, and C is 1, 2, 3 spots, 1, 2, 3 spots as well. My graph is a little, obviously not a legit graph, so you'll have to kind of bear with me on the idea using a mirror and a ring. So pretend that my fingers are like a grid on a graph, and each finger represents 1 spot. So for reflecting, look at where the ring is, and look how far away it is from the mirror. It's 1, 2, 3 spots. And if you look in the mirror, it's 1, 2, 3 spots away. So same thing, if I move the ring to my thumb, it's obviously 5 spots away from the ring. And then it's reflected 5 spots away from where the mirror is. So that's how it will work on your graph as well. Always be, your 1 point will always be the exact same distance away from the mirror. If you wanted to, you could reflect it up. So you could draw your mirror here. Okay, and then the exact same thing. This is just right on the dot. So all I have to do is just twist it up like that. And then what it wants you to do is once you've reflected it, it'll often say name the coordinates of your reflection. So I would say, oh, hey, section C is on it would be on 1 over, like we learned yesterday, would be in position 1. And it's on the origin as well, so it's on there, so it'd be 1, 0. So that would be C, but C, the reflection point is on 1 and then 6 up. 1 and 6. Okay, so you have the 2 coordinates of the 2 shapes, and that would be how you would label it, just like we did the last video. Okay, now the last one is rotation. So this one, you can kind of resort back to the previous lesson that we've done where you rotate shapes. So basically you're just going to have a shape on a specific side, and then you choose to just like rotate the shape in whatever direction. So it'd be like if I had, here's my kid. So same thing, if I took my kid and I said, hey, you're going to rotate 90 degrees. Well, think about what 90 degrees looks like on your protractor, and it would make a right angle. So here she is straight, and there she's almost 90 degrees. If she was going to go 180 degrees, well, then I would have to go here, and then she'd go 180 degrees the other direction. Was that fun? No, kind of scary. Okay, so that's rotation. So what rotation would look like would be, you could, same thing, cut out 2 shapes if you want. Stick it on here, and if I said rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise, well, then I would just pick my pivot point. I could pick it from point B, and I would just rotate it 90 degrees. And then point A is where point C would be. Point B is still where point B would be. And then point C is now way far away. But that's rotated 90 degrees. If it was a 180 degree rotation, that would be 1 and then 2 rotations. So I'd rotate it once, and then I have to go 1 more time to reach 180 degrees. So that's what rotation looks like. So if it said, hey, rotate your shape clockwise, well, then you'd have to rotate it the other way. If it said rotate it from point A, put your finger on point A, and then same thing, you could just rotate it this way. Okay, so if it wanted 260 degrees, that would be 3 rotations, okay? So we would just bring it all the way around and down. And that's not very straight. But hopefully you guys get that. I know that's, to me, that's a really that's a lot to handle and process, is translation. I feel like translation's pretty easy. Reflection, that's not bad. rotation can be a little tricky. Just remember, 90 degrees is just a quarter turn. 180 degrees would be 2 turns. 360 degrees would just be, you're just rotating it back to a 360 degrees. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 360 degrees, but no one rotates 360 degrees. So, but anyways, that is those 3 concepts. So hope you guys understand things. If not, keep dropping comments and questions back down in the feedback down below. Okay, anyways, see ya.